Hey, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I want to say we feel so blessed every week when we see that you're joining in at the beginning. This is Sidebar. And if you're just now finding out about Sidebar, it's very easy to go to sidebartv.com. And that's where you're going to find all the social media platforms that you can find us. Maybe one day you go to YouTube. We're also on X. We're also on Facebook. But one way or another, thank you for being here. We already have like Charles and Mark and Stryker. And Stryker was just listening to the Lawn and Garden show a minute ago. Magdalena, Gina, thank you so much. And Douglas, Kim, we are here every Saturday. We start at 9:30 in the morning. We try not to go more than an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes, but it all depends on you and your participation in Sidebar because we want to hear what you have to say too. We want to hear what topics that you want to talk about. And before we start all of our news topics that we've been talking about, I was talking to George about the World Cup and asking him if you like Ronaldo because I like the way he looks. Is he a good player?
That's the way he looks.
He is an awesome player. I do love watching him. It's very
I've been particularly interested because
beautiful.
My family's Portuguese, so
yes,
I'm fascinated by his story. I think he's a phenomenal ball player. And I think he holds the top number of goals scored, period, in aggregate. Whereas his alleged rival, I don't really think they're rivals, but Lionel Messi from Argentina.
Messi is definitely a peer, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, they're both very skilled, very different types of soccer. But Messi, I've been watching him, and it's just, I've always watched Messi from afar, but now because he's got a kind of a front row view, his soccer playing abilities are just,
it's a
stunning.
dance.
I played soccer all my life, all my young life, and I just watched this guy, and the ball just responds to him. It's like it stays close to his feet. He's incredibly skilled. He's so agile. I mean, it's phenomenal. Ronaldo's fantastic. He's truly an amazing ball player, but I think Messi is like he's one in 100 years. I mean, truly,
yeah,
it's phenomenal to watch. So it's been very, very fun.
It is so much fun, and I mean, yesterday, the U.S. lost, but it's no big deal, right? Because
Turkey moves on. The United States is still in the running.
Yeah,
Nico,
to win the whole thing.
They can still do it if they stay consistent and they win. They can still do it. It was a weird loss. I think they just left a lot on the table, and they're capable of so much more. They should have won the game, but anyway. But yeah, they still have an opportunity to come back and win the whole thing. I love how foreigners have responded to United States culture who are here for the World Cup. For
believe
me,
it.
I've enjoyed that, I think, as much as the actual World Cup. As much as I love soccer, I love, there's just thousands of posts on social media from people who are coming here from Germany and other places in Europe who are just exclaiming how amazing American culture is, how kind Americans are, and how truly fascinating American culture is. Very welcoming, warm, fun. And I love the post. There's a guy on social media by the name of Freddie from Germany, and he's probably the most prolific. And the guy's fun. You guys should look him up and the stuff that he says. I mean, he's saying very innocently, like, I can't believe it. For us, he's opening Americans' eyes to just how wonderful we truly have it here. I think we forget. We take a lot of things for granted when we're here. I don't take it for granted. I haven't come from another country. I promise you that. But man, I love to see it now as they're coming here because we just take this stuff for granted.
Even standing outside of H-E-B trying ice creams, or there was one guy that was at Buc-ee's and he's like, I can't believe this place. I can't believe Buc-ee's. And there was one guy and he's like, look at these cars. They're called Waymos. I know why they're called Waymos because you people in America, you have way more than anything that we have in our country.
Nico, there's just a sense of massive abundance everywhere, all the time.
Free soda refills. They can't even believe that.
American. That's genuinely uniquely American.
I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, but that'll change if we don't control
what
comes in this country and what the culture is and what we protect and what we defend and what we allow to influence us and whether we adjust to other people or whether other people adjust to us, whether they assimilate or not. I mean, what a wonderful way to show this and to make that point to people that, we're different for now. But, I mean, you go to certain areas, like ask all of them to have the World Cup at Dearborn, Michigan, see if they have the same feeling there. or anywhere else. I mean, there's
That's
other
true.
areas in the United States that aren't as, they don't reflect those values that we believe as Americans. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, that's the thing. We used to gather around certain ideals, and on this year, celebrating soon, a couple of weeks, the 250 years. Look, 250 years is not long in the history of humans
Yeah.
and societies and cultures. Hello. This thing.
It
Can
kind
you
of
hear
went out. It's a little bit distorted.
Maybe it's
Me
my,
too.
yeah, mine's distorted.
I hear the same thing.
Everybody here? Okay. All
right.
Maybe it's my earpiece then.
Same for me.
All right. Your earpiece too?
Yeah.
Can everybody hear us? Yeah. Okay, we're good. All right. Salo can hear us. All right. But I mean, what are we going to be celebrating
I know.
in a few weeks, in a couple weeks? It's what these people are experiencing here, but the American way. What does that mean? We're a melting pot. I get it, of different ethnicities, but we're kind of coalescing around a set of ideas. But we're good. We're good. Everybody's good. Yeah. All right.
Okay. It's just our
It's just our
headphones.
headphones
They're
are just
totally
jacked up then.
distorted.
I might take them off then. But that's it. So I'm glad you brought that up. I've seen a couple of those videos that people send around. You see it. I mean, and it's wonderful to hear. But when you see the division in our country and between these tribalistic ideas in politics, I mean, it's like, how long are we going to sustain that?
And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the show, but I think the gist here is that Americans are almost afraid or embarrassed to celebrate their achievements, celebrate what's wonderful
Being
about
American.
America. Yeah, like what Nico just said right now, and what I just said, and what we were talking about here. The average American student graduates a revolutionary and not a contributing member to American society. A revolutionary meaning they want to burn the place down and start over. This is what they're taught. And they never learn to truly celebrate what's great about the country because they are saturated in the sins of the country. Like the only thing that defines America is everything we've done wrong. And I always remind people, do you ever look at a human being like that? What happens if you look at a human being from that prism, where all you see is what's negative about them, you never see the positive? Then you almost dehumanize that person as an evil caricature of themselves. And that's what's happened, I think, in the view of the average American student when they graduate and they look at America that way. And so this is a wonderful reminder that America truly is a wonderful place from people that come from the outside, Nico, and they can
But when you have people
contrast.
winning elections that say they wiped their ass with the flag,
Exactly right.
and where do you think that's going to go?
Oh, that makes me cry.
Well, I mean, but think about it. Look,
I know.
Like to George, I mean, good point you made. I mean, and we all love the redemption story. What are you being redeemed from? From rags to riches? What are the rags you're talking about? That's the American story. I mean, it's a biblical story, by the way, of redemption and reconciliation and all that other stuff as well. And there's an aspect of that in our justice system. But you got to come from something. If you go from rags to riches, I'm not talking about monetarily necessarily. It's just you can make yourself up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, as they say, as long as you have the opportunity to succeed and you have an idea and you have hard work and you have. I mean, that's the American dream, but that's going to change. And you have these people that wipe their ass or claim to or whatever, wipe their hands with the American flag. So the flag is the symbol of this experiment that we're going to be celebrating here, and they don't have any pride in that. I mean, and people that are just and these athletes go on the Olympic stage and they're ashamed of the national anthem for what?
Awful.
I mean, to George's point, this is where academia comes in, and they're just distorting and I won't say the word, screwing our kids. I mean, to hate this country versus what? I mean, everyone wants to come here for a reason. I mean, so we need to talk about that. I mean, this New York elections, I mean, obviously should be an eye opener, even for Dems. So even our Democratic friends, our politically Democrat friends that watch the show, I mean, you're in for an awakening coming up.
Nico, I'm going to stop you there because I noticed there are so many new people, names that I haven't seen in a long time, and I just want to reintroduce everybody to Sidebar because if you've just now joined us for the very first time, thank you for being here, but get ready to hear the former Bexar County District Attorney, Nico LaHood, trial lawyer, managing partner of LaHood Norton Goss Law Group, and George Araujo, scholar, former chemist, pharmaceutical researcher, and director. And we're just going to be taking a look at some of the things that have gone on this week. And there has been a lot. Here in the San Antonio area, I don't know if you've heard about I don't even know if it's some sort of argument or if it's going to happen or not, but Kanye West, the mayor, saying he shouldn't be here.
You're going to have to return your tickets?
Yeah. And all the new clothes that I bought. Also, no.
You wear clothes to those events?
Yeah. Also, oh, that's right. He had the naked girlfriend. Oh, poor thing.
I didn't realize clothes was a requirement.
Sharon's ready to step
Also,
in.
maybe if we get a chance, we've got to at least mention these Bible stories as required reading for Texas students. Yes, Michael Bolton, will he go to
John
jail?
Bolton. Michael
Michael
Bolton.
Bolton.
Your
John
favorite.
Bolton.
Michael Bolton's your favorite
Dang it.
singer. John
Dang
Bolton.
it. I wrote it down wrong. Okay. In my mind.
I'm sure he's in your mind too.
Of course, the World Cup. Oh my gosh. Twin immigration victories for Trump. I'm almost like blown away by that one. And of course, Democratic Socialists, that's what they're called now, stunning the establishment in New York. Is that some kind of foreshadowing of what's to come for America? And then one that I haven't really looked into, but I want to know, what's up with the Save Act? What is happening with that? Sometimes it's connected to something. Sometimes people are saying you can't pass anything until we first pass the Save Act. Guys, what topic are we starting with first?
Well, we started on New York elections. I mean, because
Yeah.
we were talking about the culture of this country and how foreigners are coming here because of the World Cup and really enjoying the culture. Culture, what does that mean? The way we do things, the warmth. I love that. I'm glad they're experiencing that, the warmth. Just the abundance, as George said. I mean, just the idea that, man, this is truly a land of opportunity. But it's only a land of opportunity if you're free. If you're free, if you're a free thinker, if you're a free speaker, if you're free to take a chance, capitalism, free market capitalism, that word free again, free market capitalism, and so there's people like these people that have won in the primary. Mamdani is, hey man, you better wake the hell up. And even for our Democrat friends, Alamo Talk and Mark Antoine and other people that I know listen, that I know personally, I mean, a lot of established Democrats were not a lot. I mean, but I think it's kind of a purview of what we're going to see moving forward. Is this the newest? Is what's going to happen? And it foretells the future of the Democratic electorate. It seems like, and because they won and they replaced somebody in charge of the Hispanic caucus and just traditional established Democrats. Look, if they're doing a shitty job, maybe you replace them with someone else. I got that. But not with these Democrat socialists of America. And it's really a separate party within the party. They've just latched on to the Democrat Party. And I always tell people, be careful of the world you help create, because someday you may have to live in it.
I think that's the issue right there.
Yeah, man.
Because people think, well, this is sort of out there. And I'm taking a slightly different tack in the sense that this has been created by the Obama, Pelosi sort of, adherence to fringe policies over the years, embracing open borders policies and hating America and equality, sort of hyper equality where it's not really equality, it's just identity politics. Embracing those kinds of policies over the years, you opened a door to this kind of stuff. What do you think is going to happen? And so really what's happened is to your point, we've imported a lot of pro-communism, anti-American foreigners, and we've cultivated political power for them. That's what's happened. And so now they're surprised. So it's not that they differ from them ideologically. They're actually on the same page. If you look at the guy who lost, Representative Dan Goldman, who lost, I mean, does he not hate Donald Trump enough? Is that the problem? That's not the problem.
Right.
Does he have a problem with open borders? He most certainly does not. So what's the issue here? And there's a thread. There's an absolute thread here. There's two issues. I think they're surprised they're now coming for their offices.
Them,
yeah, now they're coming for them. And they never anticipated that. They're like, I don't understand. We embraced them. Some of these guys endorsed Mamdani. Yeah, this, what's his name? Adriano Espaillat, who's a 5-term incumbent congressman in New York. He endorsed Mamdani. Mamdani didn't return the favor. People need to remember, communists don't return the favor, okay? They use you to destroy you. That's what they do, and they're very good at it. And so one after another, and this was a sweep. This was truly a sweep. It was like 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And so you got to step back and say, what's really going on? I don't buy that it's the Democrats are over here ideologically and these guys are over here. That's not the case. They're actually on the same page. There is one differentiating factor, is that these guys absolutely disdain Israel. There's no question about it. This is the Free Palestine crew. This is from the river to the sea. Dan Goldman is not like that. I noticed that there's a clear delineation where they won't go. Dan Goldman won't go there. Adriano Espaillat won't go there. These guys are viscerally anti-Israel.
But see, this is if you study anything, you study the spread of Islam, and this is it's kind of related. And Bill Federer does
It
a
is
great
related.
job. Bill Federer does a great job. When you think about how Islam spread throughout the country, remember Syria used to be Christian, Egypt used to be Christian, Jordan used to be Christian. There's used to be a lot of Christian countries over in the Middle East, on the other side of the country and the world. And what it is like, oh, well, the Democrats welcomed in these Democrat socialists of America, and they're not really, nothing democratic about them. They're communists. Because it's like, well, my enemy's enemy's my friend, until your enemy's enemy's your enemy. Because when your friend's out of the way, you're enemy. And now it's happening quicker than they thought. Yeah. But that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened when in these Israeli countries. I mean, Mecca used to be Jewish, right? I mean, and then there was all these factions within the Judaism or whatever. It's like Christians have and everybody else. And they said, well, I don't like that group. I don't like George's group. Come on, we'll welcome you in. I don't like Karen's group. Yeah, you got rid of George's group. You got rid of Karen's group. Now we're friends. Oh, we're not friends? And then they get taken out as well. And that's exactly what's happened. I mean, you can look at the objective history.
I think you mean it wasn't always Islamic and it had a strong Jewish
Yes,
presence.
yes,
Yeah, I don't know that I'd call it Jewish, but,
Well,
but I get your point.
brother. I mean, it was more Jews than Islamic people because Islam was spreading.
It was an amalgamation, and it certainly wasn't Islamic. I mean,
No, that's my
it was
point.
Jewish or Christians.
it was just starting.
sort of a melting pot, if you will, until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. That's my point.
And it wasn't exactly
But
democratically.
This is nothing new. This
yeah.
is this because you play off the other person's disdain for another group. So they think, well, I mean, I don't like that group. You don't like that group. Let's agree on that. Let's get that group out of the way or out of power. And then, let's get that group out of the way. We're still friends, right? For now. And then when everyone's out of the way, then they come after you. And that's exactly what's happened in the Democrat side. So they're going to
is Mamdani the kingmaker? Is like, why is he the first one over the finish line? Is that why they're saying the Mamdani effect? I mean,
because he's the leader of the pack. I mean, he's the first one there with this mindset. And he won the mayoral race in New York.
But I mean,
in the major
who made
political role.
him? That's what I want to know. Like, who made him?
Who made him?
Yes.
America made him. Well, look, a significant contingent of the people that voted for him are foreign born. Okay, so and how did that happen? Well, we did that. Look, we all have to take responsibility for this. Yeah, it was led by Democrats, but where were Republicans? I'll tell you where they were. They were afraid to speak out because they don't want to be called racist. That's the insanity of the whole thing. We created this condition. We brought in people from the outside who hate the country, who are bringing in values that are in opposition to American values. Meanwhile, inside the American classroom, we're doing the same thing. We're teaching students that America is colonialist, America is irredeemably racist. I was trying to find her quote because I thought it was so patently absurd. And I'll get to it in just a moment. But if you go back and you look at the social media posts of the various people that won, Claudia Valdes, and I think it's Avila Chevalier, these guys all fit kind of a basic profile. They're very young. They're grossly misinformed and highly educated. Yes, those two things go together. Yeah. They are in love with unions and have a lot of support from the unions. They have been sort of incubated in American academia to literally disdain their country, just hate America, and attribute evil to all things America as founded. They can't stand the country, and the solution is to burn the country down and start over. They don't actually build anything. It's all about destroying the country. And so if you listen to the things that they say and the thing that they've posted, what are they bringing to the table exactly?
A lot of free shit.
A lot of free shit. And so when they talk about, what is it? Affordability? That's code for I'm going to take money and assets from people who have actually earned them, who don't deserve them, because they're probably white, and they've probably stolen them. If they're white and they're rich, then they must have stolen them. And they stole it because they're racist. And so we're going to take it from them. We're going to give it to other people who deserve it, which is code for we're going to give it to our party loyalists, and we're going to skim off the top so we can take some of it ourselves. How do I know this? This has been going on for a century of communist history in the 20th century. So we know exactly how this works. This is a dark future if we don't wake the hell up.
And unfortunately, I was just going to say, and unfortunately, President Trump, it appears that he doesn't care about affordability just by the sound bites that have been pulled out to be played. Like, I don't care about inflation. Affordability, things are going to be good once this is over. And so it appears that he doesn't care about
Well,
affordability.
we have to the problem is they've commandeered the word affordability,
Yeah,
and it really
yeah.
just means free versus truly being affordable. People have to be able to buy houses. People have to be able to afford gas and energy costs and food and things like that. That's affordability. But if the Republicans let them continue to commandeer terms, family, love, all the other shit they've done in the past, gender, all this crap, well, then now we have to start using either make up the term or bring it back, use another term or bring it back and start explaining what that really means. And they haven't done that. The Republicans have dropped the ball on this deal. So the Republicans better start talking about affordability, but true affordability, and not handing that word over to them. Because affordability doesn't mean what they mean, what it truly means or what it's historically meant.
Just like there are different levels of Republican, I see it as there are different levels of Democrat. Like there's the Fetterman Democrat, then
He's
there's
not
the
Democrat
Jeffries,
anymore.
right? Jeffries Democrat, and then there's the Mamdani Democrat. So can the Fetterman Democrats change what's happening with the Mamdani Democrat socialists?
Well, there's no Fetterman Democrats in my view. There's just Fetterman, and then there's
Right.
Hakeem Jeffries, and then there's what we've seen in.
But
New
even
York.
I think
Hakeem is
the-
about to get
which-
kicked.
Well, yeah, he's going to get kicked out. But there's the Henry Cuellar Democrat in South Texas.
Yeah.
But that's he could never win a national
You're right.
election. You just can't because you can't compete with these people.
Right.
It's what's taking over the mindset. I want to know where the true old school Democrat. Notice what George said. These are young people. We have handed over because at some point the people that are the old school blue dog Democrats that still vote with the progressives because of the title and they're tribalistic, but they still they're not in on all that shit. There's people in my office like that. Where are they going to go? At some point, they're going to pass on because life happens and we have a cycle of life. And you have these young people and they're not being taught anything on the Democrat side. True. And they're handing this party over. And it's truly not going to be the Democrat Party as our generation knew it. Even people like people that even watch this show, young Democrats probably don't watch this show. I wish they would. I wish there's a way we can appeal to them, but they don't. And at some point, those people, our age people, are going to pass on. And then you're leaving the party over to this people, to communists.
We don't have time to go through all of them
Yeah.
here, but I mean, I looked at a couple of them just in detail. Claudia Valdez is very interesting to me. She replaced really a long time incumbent Nadia Velázquez, and if you look at her profile and you look at essentially her CV, this is a woman who, listen to how crazy this is. She made affordability, of course, a centerpiece of her campaign. And she talked about, and you can see in a couple of interviews, I watched a few videos where she's touting her past employment at fast food joints like Taco Bell and Pizza Hut, right? That's a flash in the pan. Most of the time she spent in art school. I think she went to the Art Institute of Chicago, and then she moved to New York about 10 years ago to pursue a career in visual arts or something like that. And then she ended up working for Columbia University, and she was part of a union there. And she talks about that union like it's truly family. Right, and you can see my union changed my life. She said it was the first time in my working life that I didn't feel alone. She's representing the working class. But she worked at Taco Bell and Pizza Hut for like 10 seconds. Okay, and so most of her time has been where it's been in an American academic institution. Okay, allegedly Ivy League. Where is she getting her ideas about America? Where is she getting her ideas about economics? Where is she getting her ideas about anything having to do with quote unquote equality? Where's that coming from? It's coming from the union, which is a bastion of anti-American pro-communism sentiment. So she comes out, and this is the stuff that she's touting, and Mamdani is just embracing her. This is the type of person, and that profile is pretty much linear across everybody else that got in there. And so why are we concerned? We're concerned because I realize these are primaries, but come general, this is as blue as it gets in New York. This is pretty much decided in the general election. The notion that these people, I'm not saying they shouldn't fight Republicans. Absolutely, they should go down fighting. But the likelihood that these people are going to get in office is very, very high.
Yeah, but we're no different here. This is a blue county also. Bear County, we're not going to have Republican county judge is not going to win. Republican DA candidate is not going to win. That's just the fact. So wake up. And that's it. You don't have to like it. You can bitch about it. It's not going to win. The Republican Party here has not been effective. That's just a fact. And we're not bringing people in. We're not educating people. We're not bringing in good candidates to stand. I'm not criticizing the candidates I mentioned on those parties. I'm just saying in general, They've got to appeal to people. John Lujan did a very effective job on the South Side as state representative. He was in a very mixed. I mean, he first time to win that. There's a Senate race that was won over there at times, because you still have traditional Hispanics that aren't in for this bullshit, this progressive left stuff. They're not. They believe in traditional values. They are blue dog Democrats still. Until the younger, if we don't train up, Proverbs 22:6, right? Start a child up, train a child up in the way they will go. When they get older, they will not depart from it. They'll sway from it, but they won't depart from it. And that's what they're doing. That's what communists do. They train up children in the way they will go. Hitler talked about it. He wants the minds of the youth. He wants the lyrics of a song. We've talked about that on the show before. We understand what shapes people's minds and influence them. And then we come across with these ideas, and we're, Republicans or conservatives come across all, square and this and bullshit. And that's why I'm so pissed off. Sorry. That's why I'm so pissed off about the squandered grace in this last election. Did you look at the Republican convention? I mean, did you pay attention to it? All the people that were coming under the tent, people all when I first tatted up, you bullshit and earrings and this and just, but we had a set of ideas that we kind of coalesced around. Yeah. And we understood that, and we could differ on certain things, but the general idea, free speech, freedom, free thinking, things of this nature, all ideas are not the same. Open borders are not a good idea. They're just not a good idea, and that was something that censorship is not a good idea, because that means you care about, you're going to control what I say. If you control what I say, then you're controlling ultimately what I think, and we've seen that happen in Europe. Look, this is real.
And the two issues were immigration and economics, and people recognize
in New York,
of all backgrounds.
For New York,
I'm just coming into the election.
The election. Oh yeah,
to your point, because I think it's valid, and we've kind of lost track of those things, and we can't lose track because they remain just as valuable and just as relevant today as they were then. The notion that people were watching hordes of people coming from overseas who had no interest in American values, who had no interest in actually assimilating here in the country. And they translated that to, hey, me and my family being erased over time. So our economic power gets erased, our political power gets erased, my voice goes away, and in place of me are people who are not vested in this country whatsoever. There was a connection that was made in 2024, a legitimate connection, and people from all backgrounds came out. And it was absolutely fascinating.
It was fascinating.
I think we've lost that, and we need to regain it because
it's not that long ago. And so we're not talking about 15 years ago. We're talking about 15 months ago.
Exactly. And so in that vacuum, because things happen fast, in that vacuum, this DSA has managed to step in and basically co-opt the argument. I went to her Facebook page, this Claudia Valdes, and when you go saying about here in Texas, this is not just in New York. You're right. There's about 100,000 that we know of DSA people in the country, the Democratic Socialists of America, communists in America right now. So, but it's not just in New York. I mean, remember Katie Wilson in Seattle? We just had one win in D.C. right now. So Karen Bass in L.A. Nadia Ratham in L.A. right now, who's probably going to beat out Karen Bass. So it's not just New York City, but you go to what they're saying. Listen to what they're saying. Racism is the largest, most coherent, most consistent aspect of American society. No thanks to body cams. Let's abolish the police instead. Yes, that's back in fad right now. White terrorism is as old as America, she says. And then she talks about, of course, free Palestine and everything is Israel's the greatest evil in the world, and they're committing genocide and they're committing apartheid. So, and FAPAC and so forth, and on and on and on. You can literally see these talking points in every single one of their posts. And so you got to step back and say, that's the culture that they would like to foster. Okay? What does that mean to you and your kids?
I challenge Democrats here to resist that. I really do. I mean, because I'm telling you, I saw it when I was in office. I say this story, then we'll move on. I know we got to move on to the Supreme Court, and we have other topics to cover because we can talk for a long time on each one of these. But I was at the Northwest Democrat meeting, and I was just giving an update. If anybody, I went to the Tea Party's meeting as well. And I was invited there, and I went because I was a servant for everybody, and so we were there talking. I was going to give an update, and they were introduced into different groups. And this young kid, he had an interesting look, in my opinion, but he said, I'm here from the whatever Democrat social something. We're here for a hostile takeover of the Democrat Party. This was back in 16. Maybe I was in 15, 16, 17, 18. It must have been in 16, maybe 17, but probably 16, 10 years ago. And I was there with Chris, this guy that worked with me, and I said, I won't say the word. I said, what the F did he say? He's like, I think he said hostile takeover. And you could tell because the older lady that was running the meeting, and everyone's there, and there's
Did
other
I hear
candidates
that
were there.
right?
And she was like, okay. And who are you here with? And I was like, what? And then he asked me a question, about pedophilia during the
Wow.
Q&A at the end. And I said, what are you talking about? Are you talking about someone getting permission from a guardian to marry at maybe they're 16 or 17 because someone's going to be in the military or because they're going to marry younger than they should? He's like, no, I'm talking about younger, attracted people. I go, not while I'm DA.
Was it Tallarico?
No.
Maybe
No.
was it Mamdani?
But he looked like a Tallarico, to be honest with you.
It could have been. Who knows?
Yeah, he was an interesting looking dude that happened to be white. And I said, I took a very strong stance, and everybody was looking at me, making weird faces at him. But walking out of there, I told Chris, I said, holy shit, brother, this is coming. I knew it back then, and here we are.
Not that this is all bad news. It is that we've been talking about, but is it good news about SCOTUS and the immigration victories as they're being called for Trump? I mean, how does this go together?
That's common sense.
Yeah.
That is just common sense. There were two rulings that came down, both with Mullen's name on them, and Mullen versus Doe. And I think, what was the other one? Is Mullen versus Otro Lado, al Otro Lado, the other side, literally. So one involved the temporary protected status. They're particularly affecting Syrian and it really should affect
Haitians.
Anybody, but Syrians and Haitians, about 350,000 Syrians. 350,000 Haitians and about 10,000 Haitians or so. People
Syrians.
have experienced some sort of it's Syrians and Haitians.
I know, but it's 350,000 Haitians and about 10,000 Syrians.
Yeah. So Haitians really going back to 2010 because of I think it was an earthquake at the time, and in Haitians because of civil war. All of these things have ended in the distant past.
How long ago?
And so temporary means temporary. That's basically what the Supreme Court said.
No, it's like 2012 and 2016, something like a long
The earthquake
time
was
ago.
from 2010.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, 2010. And so, but basically the Trump administration said, look, temporary means temporary. They've been here for a long time, and it's time to end that temporary status. And so...
But George explained the temporary, even under Obama and under other presidents, it was supposed to be 18 months, and then you revisit this after every 18 months.
18 years.
18 months
is what it turned out
and
to
this,
be.
But that's what's happening. I'm sorry, George. Finish your thought. But then they're having babies, and then you have birthright citizenship issues,
And then
now
Americans.
but they've been here
Right.
15 years. What are you talking about? And no one's assimilated, and no one has taken the classes, and no one knows American history. No one gives a shit about the Star Spangled Banner. No, I mean you go to a true class that you and your family went through, George, and when you go down to the federal courthouse, and when they take their citizen oath of citizens, I mean, there's tears. I mean, I've been down at the federal courthouse when it's happened. There's tears, right? So there's tears. I mean, people are proud. I mean, they're like, I'm an American citizen now with my ethnicity that I'm very proud of, with their accents and of course my grandfather, because he jiddo in Arabic, is from Lebanon. I'm Shiite Lebanon. My mom's family's from Mexico. So we're all immigrants. I get it, but I'm an American of Lebanese Mexican descent. And that's the way they look at this. These people don't do that. So you have 350,000 Haitians, and that's a very different culture. You better wake up and realize that. Syrian, very different culture, and they're having babies, and they're being here for decades now.
Lots.
And then now they're and they have no affiliation and no loyalty to this country.
Yeah. So,
Sorry,
no,
George.
so that's absolutely. But the question is, can that temporary protected status be stopped by another executive? Because they said no, that they can't, and the Supreme Court said, of course they can. I mean, so one executive branch basically invoke that, and another executive branch can reverse that.
Yep.
So that's happening. And so they basically were pushing the argument this is actually not temporary. Temporary actually doesn't mean temporary. That's why I meant it was common sense. Supreme Court weighed in and said, yes, actually temporary protected status actually means temporary protected, and the executive has every right to reverse that.
What is the video going to look like of ICE gathering up somebody that's lived here for 20 years and has 10 kids and a business, and now they've got to go?
The question I always ask people is, when you start taking in people into your home, let me know. They never do. I mean,
Right.
because what do you think is going to happen? Look what's going on in Europe. You don't have people assimilate to a culture. You lose the culture. We have a right to defend the American culture, which has two political parties that welcome each other, that debate each other passionately, that try to influence the electorate, not cheat the electorate, influence them. That's why the Voting Act, we're going to talk about the Saving Act here, I'm sure at some point. I mean, and let the better idea win. Free thought, free speech, free entrepreneur, free market capitalism, dream big, think big, do big. right? But don't do harm. And don't mess with me, and don't try to squelch me and censor me and shut me up and dominate me and control me, right? There's order in a society that's going to flourish. There has to be, and there's no order with this system being set up. And so we'll talk about the asylum too. The asylum system is broken as shit. And then this temporary protective status needs to be corrected. Look, there's 15 nations that have this status, right, George? And then Trump wants to revoke 13 of those nations. I'm all for it. I think this is great. And I'll punt it to you, George, sorry. But this is not a constitutional case. This is not a determination by the court on a constitutional issue. This is what we call a statutory interpretation case. It's a specific provision in the statute, and it says not reviewable by a court, meaning that a court can't stop the executive branch. Now, this is why elections matter. Don't think at some point a different president comes in, President Mamdani comes in, President AOC comes in, President Newsom comes in. Don't think they can't reverse this. So this is good and bad for now.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's exactly right. But I think the powerful thing here is it's not reviewable by the court. So when the Department of Homeland Security made that call, that's where it needs to end. But it's interesting that part of the argument from the appellants was that there's a discriminatory element to this, that the reason why, this has been coming up since the district court, this was a D.C. district court. So that's where this started. It went up to an appellate court, which basically agreed with the federal court, and it ultimately ended up in the United States Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court in a 6-3 decision said that there's no evidence of discriminatory motivation here at all. In other words, they're being racist. Trump's being racist.
Yeah,
that's basically what's happening here. That's part of the argument. They said there's no evidence of that here. So there's two issues. One, this is not reviewable by the court, shouldn't even be here. And number two, there's no evidence of any racial animus behind this. End of story. So this was really a common sense decision for
But that's why I brought up the 13 of the 15 countries that's been revoked.
Yes, and to that point, just in the last year or two, the court, and this is why I think it's fascinating, this is all activist driven inside the court system now. It doesn't matter what the law is. Look, Nico, was it last year or was it was last year? It was last year when it was two separate decisions where SCOTUS allowed the Trump administration to revoke very similar legal status for about 600,000 Venezuelans. So this has already made its way, in a sense, through the court. And so the court, the Trump administration argued in this case that those actions that the court weighed in on just last year, two separate actions, should set a precedent in this particular case. In fact, they're saying, why didn't this set a precedent in the lower courts? Why are we dealing with this again? And this is an interesting issue right now. The United States Supreme Court, and I hope John Roberts wakes the hell up, lower courts are blowing off SCOTUS precedents. And they're pretending like it's not, that SCOTUS has not weighed in on this. Why? Because it's about ideology. It's not about law. It's not about case law. It's not about precedent. And so you're seeing these regurgitations, and I think you're going to start seeing more criticisms, open criticisms from the court towards lower courts to say, hey, we've already weighed in on this. You guys should have known that. The idea that we're talking about racism here, seriously? So anyway, there's a lot here, but this was just a sort of reinforcing common sense on something that the court has actually already weighed in on. 600,000 Venezuelans last year, 350,000 Haitians this year, 10,000 Syrians this year. This should apply to everyone else in a similar category. I hope we don't keep seeing these lawsuits. I keep saying hope because I feel like I'm hoping against hoping. I mean, why are lower courts not learning from this? Why? Why are federal courts not appropriating these precedents before they move it to an appellate court?
I warned about this a long time ago. When you have this political tribalism influence our justice system, this country's in trouble. I believe in that. Every bit of my being, I believe in Lady Justice, what she stands for. And people always say Lady Liberty. It's Lady Justice. And that's emulated after the goddess Themis. Now, obviously, I don't believe in Greek goddesses or gods, but I'm just saying the justice. Let's go back to the Greek times and the Roman times. And the goddess Themis was the goddess of order. And Lady Justice, everything on that symbol represents something. I use this in trials often. Blindfold means I don't care about your political party. I'm not into your tribe. I really don't even care about your religion. I'm going to get the law and the facts. I'm going to merge them together, use these constitutional principles we have, and come to this elusive concept called justice. In her right hand, there's a sword. It needs to be swift as time, strong, the death penalty, life in prison. There's prison sentences. God bless you. There needs to be strict, harsh punishment at times. Her foot is on a book. right? And that book is the law book. You have to have a command of the law to dispense the law fairly and evenly, right, and unbiasedly. And then between her foot and the book is a serpent, regardless of your faith. I mean, obviously, but the universal symbol of a serpent is what? Evil. A justice system should stomp out evil between her, Lady Justice, and the book, the law. And then in her left hand, she holds what? The scales, and everybody focuses on the scales. She's got to balance it all out. She didn't give a shit about the media, even though back then there wasn't the media, or these political activists, or this or that, or Republicans or Democrats. Doesn't give a shit about that. The justice system should be the last safe haven for us. And when it's not, then we're screwed. We're screwed. I'm telling you right now, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it. People ignoring the law because of their tribe, because they don't want to be this or that or whatever. Bullshit. And because there's retribution from it. Because you get primaried by these dumb dicks, these socialists, Democrats, socialists, whatever. I mean, this is what happens. Happened to me, happened to a lot of people, because I refuse to bend the knee to people like that. I'm going to stand on principle. I'm going to bless and serve all people. I don't care if it pisses off conservatives. I don't care if it pisses off progressives. I'm going to serve all people and have that even hand and have those scales and have that blindfold and keep it on. It's not made out of mesh. And you don't do this when you want to do it, when it's convenient. You keep the blindfold on all the time. And
so not accidentally, you're starting to see a resurgence in court packing by the Democrats, because they don't like these. These rulings are significant politically. They're common sense, I think, legally, but politically, because a significant strategy by the Democrats has been to import a voting base and to replace the voting base here. Why? Because they can't win on issues. They can't persuade the body politic in what they're selling. When they try to tell you that a woman is actually a man and vice versa, 99% of human beings with 6 functioning brain cells will say, you're completely nuts. You're batshit crazy. That stuff doesn't sell here. And so you bring in a foreign culture, okay? And you bring in their thirst for relief from the horrible conditions where they are, okay? And they will vote for anything and anyone to escape their conditions. And that's what's happening, a sellout of the country to build political power, but now they're realizing they're coming for us too.
Well, yeah.
See, that's what happened.
What is it? Didn't I saw a blip somewhere? I don't know where. James Carville, that old dude, the right. Democrat strategist.
Exactly.
He said, "I'm done. I'm out." I mean,
he flipped out. And
he
said,
flipped
that's
out,
it.
And yet, what he's actually saying is, I don't want anybody here who's more batshit crazy than me. That's really what he's. I know it sounds crazy, but that's really what he's saying. These people never anticipated that somebody was going to come in and remove them from power. They thought that they were going to be buddy-buddy. That's not how this works,
Doesn't work that way, man.
That's just not how this works. Wake the hell up.
So then why is the SAVE Act being put on the back burner again?
And don't forget, real quick, the second ruling was
Asylum.
Oh, yes.
Was Asylum. I mean, this is just utter common sense. Again, the notion that when you apply for asylum, being inside the United States, that doesn't actually mean that you can do that in Mexico. That's what's been happening. This is something that, actually, to Nico's earlier point, also was a policy under the Obama administration. If you are an asylum seeker, you can apply for asylum outside the country, but you're not in the country when you apply outside the country. So in other words, in the Biden administration, when you are seeking asylum and you're seeking asylum from Mexico, that was treated as being in the country because you're seeking to get status in the country. And so the court simply said, no, actually, Alito said, actually, no. A plain reading of the statute simply says that you have to be in the United States.
But the asylum system sucks. It's almost like home base. You're playing hot potato. Once you get here, I'm asylum. It's like, oh, you got to go through the process now because they're here. So Trump's saying, well, then we're not going to let you get here. We're not going to let you get here.
Correct.
I mean, and nobody would apply this to their home. I'm telling you, nobody would apply this to your own personal life. They think it's too far off. It's accomplishing a goal that they want, and this is a recipe to destroy this country. And it was destroying this country. Look how much harm Biden did. Look how much harm Biden did. So much harm with his border policies that the Valley, and I hope it stays that way. But let's see what happens as elections keep going on. Went red on that one issue. I told you I'd become a single issue voter almost. Because nothing else matters after that vote. After that issue, if we don't take that and control that issue. So yeah, George, that was a common sense one, but it really defined what arrived was, and then also whether you can keep them from coming in, and whether you say no, you can't apply from outside the country. They were just looking at the interpretation, a clear interpretation, statutory interpretation of the law, and that's why neither one of these cases were constitutional issues. But you were going to talk about SAVE Act.
No, why does the SAVE Act then keep stalling?
Because they don't have 60 Republicans.
And have you noticed? I know, but have you noticed? They're also a new talking point is almost 50% of Americans don't want it.
Don't want what?
The SAVE Act. That's what the Democrats are saying.
That's just pure bullshit.
Unless they understand it.
No, just pure. Well, right. There's that. But I mean, there's been multiple polls in the last several months in the 80s in terms of the number of people. And this is cross-party.
Well, 94% Republicans. I've seen some polls where it's 69% of Democrats want this. I've seen as high as 70-something in the past. I don't know what.
On aggregate.
Right.
On aggregate, it's about 80%. But obviously it's up and down depending on your party affiliation. I mean, it's over the top Republicans, as you can imagine. But it's fairly high among Democrats, and your number's not wrong. It's in the 69-70% range.
Yeah.
So why is that? Because it's, again, common sense. Just as common sense it is that you can tell people who are seeking asylum, no thanks. You can tell them that they can't come in. I mean, you have the right to say who can come into your home or not. And so this is common sense as well. It's requiring documentary proof of American citizenship before you register for federal elections. And it requires you to have some photo ID if you're going to cast a ballot. Pretty straightforward stuff. And most people are on board with that. Overwhelmingly so. So why isn't it passing? That's a damn good question. And so there's a group of people, and Mitch McConnell, right? And you've got, I know, Susan Collins in Maine, and I have no idea what I just forgot her name from Alaska, for goodness sakes. But this is a handful of individuals that are denying support for the SAVE Act. But these are not conservative individuals. These are individuals who have a political axe to grind, or they're actually more left than they are conservative, and it creates a problem. There's no question about it. What we don't see is John Thune fighting for it. That's what we don't see. We see a willingness to surrender, and I think they ought to trust Trump's political instincts here. So Trump has a quote unquote allegedly housing affordability act come before his desk this week, and he refused to sign it. I was just came out of nowhere. He says, I'm not going to sign it until the SAFE Act's passed. And Nico and I were chatting about it this week, just so people understand. If Trump chooses to do nothing, it automatically becomes law in 10 days.
Yeah.
So he either vetoes it or he signs it.
Yeah. Signing is just more of symbolic.
Yes.
It automatically becomes, if he doesn't veto it in 10 days, it becomes law.
I think the man should veto it. I think it's bloated. I think his political instincts are correct. So there's a twofer here. He's making an issue here about the SAVE Act and how that's absolute the highest domestic priority. But this, whenever you have Republicans and Democrats flock to a bill and it's championed by Elizabeth Warren, you might want to ask yourselves why. Okay, I don't know. Because if you look at it, the amount of dollars over time that taxpayers are going to have to pump into this in the name of housing affordability, I'm telling you, it's a skimming operation. I don't like it. Trump's not enthused by it. He's been up and down on it, hoping that Republicans...
Then why would he let it become law?
Well, he's got to veto it then. But here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that Trump pulls the whole Iran deal stuff. I mean, because there's no deal. I mean, we just bombed the shit out of them the other day. And the Strait's apparently not open again, or is open and not open, depends on the time of day. And he can't keep making these political threats and not follow through with them. He's got to veto it.
I think we ought to hone in on that last point a little bit, Nico, because that was a political victory earlier this week where you had a number of... So they wanted to trump the war power stuff. They wanted, again, to Trump, no pun intended, to force him to pull back military involvement in the Middle East. And so there was a vote. It's symbolic, but there was a vote. And Trump was absolutely fit to be tied and said, you guys are making me look weak, in the sense that we're not aligned on what I'm trying to do in the Middle East. I know what I'm doing. Trust me, there's no way in hell I'm going to pull back our military assets. And so from all the reports I've read, this became a bit of a shouting match, particularly between him and Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. Bill Cassidy then afterward changed his vote, as did Rand Paul. And so what are they saying? What they're saying is, we have our differences with this president, but we're not going to go so far as to try to force him to pull back military involvement. By the way, just for the record, I never thought that was an issue. It's good that we have the military assets there. My issue has been, I believe Nico is aligned on this, I don't know, let him weigh in, that my issue has been you don't have some bullshit ceasefire where the fire never ceases. Okay, that dumb. We had 80 days of that nonsense. There was never a single day, to my knowledge, where something wasn't fired from Iran or from one of their proxies. It was bullshit. It was never going to work. We should have kept up the pressure, and we should have brought the Iranian Revolutionary Guard leadership to its knees or find some sort of special forces operation to wipe them out by assassination. That should have happened when the momentum was hot. You don't take an 80-day break and do fake negotiations with a party who is wholly vested in killing you and everyone else who disagrees
And they're
with them.
never going to keep the deal.
Come
But
on,
that's
man. It's a ceasefire stuff.
This ultimately was exactly what every other president did in a different way. I mean, Trump made some ingrounds, don't get me wrong. The Navy, the Air Force got it, but how long is that going to take? And what they did was, and last week, I know a lot of people were shocked that we were so harsh on Trump and the quote unquote deal to deal, because it's not a deal, obviously, but they won. They won the negotiation. Trump lost that negotiation. Number one, it's not open. There is no official deal. And they got a shit ton of money just to agree to try to agree. They got a ton of money. That's your bargaining chip. Why would you give the bargaining chip away, which is money flow and their economy, and then being able to earn to get your best deal? That is very un-Trump-like. So that's why I kept waiting for. I'm still waiting for the second book to drop because I want to get it on Kindle or whatever shit so I can listen to it or and try to see what I missed on the first book.
No, I mean, but
Iran
this is
made
why
their own.
Iran knows. I mean, we played right into. Trump's been criticizing this approach for decades. He's repudiated former presidents for doing the exact same thing.
Decades.
And so this is all about the Strait. It's all about the oil. I get it. I mean, there's been a lot of political pressure because of the inflationary pressure of the policy in the Middle East with the Strait of Hormuz. But I mean, it was truly going to be, if you would have kept up the pressure, I don't see how you can argue it wouldn't have been temporary. Just temporary pain. But see, this is an interesting litmus test, how the country, including the political powers that be, have zero stomach.
Appetite.
This is
now,
something
what
else.
are you telling our enemies? So Iran is like, we have the fortitude, we have the ganas, as we say in Spanish, we have the balls, the cuyans, the huevos, whatever you want to say, we've got the perseverance to withstand. You don't. Look, fatigue makes cowards of men. I used to be in an old boxing gym that I used to train in. Didn't say lack of technique makes cowards of men. Didn't even take fear. Fatigue makes cowards of men. If you don't have the stamina, you could be the better fighter. But if someone can take a punch, just engage you like in MMA, and you keep going, it's got one end, and then you just get burnt out because you're beating them, you're peppering them, you're winning on points. That's a 12-round fight, Jack. I don't care if you win all 10 rounds. Look at Julio Cesar Chavez and Meldrick Taylor. Chavez, was going to lose. Meldrick Taylor was peppering him, even though Chavez wasn't hurt. But he was peppering him on points. 2 seconds left, and everybody was pissed off at Richard Steele. All the boxing fans out there getting a little deja vu. But they're pissed off at Richard Steele for stopping the fight literally with 2 seconds left, but Meldrick didn't answer.
And that's become military precedent for the United States. It continues to be, and they simply just read our precedent. They know how we work here. They know American culture.
And then they know the people.
Yeah, we are
can't take
addicted. We're truly addicted to comfort. It's now carcinogenic. I mean, we can't handle any kind of discomfort or a rough time. We can't. And America has been fighting wars that way and losing wars, really. In my opinion, I think the last war that we won, I've mentioned in here before, is the Korean War, maybe even the Second World War. That's how long it's been since we actually decisively won a war, because our people get to a point where we can't stomach the tough time. And we put pressure on politicians, and then politicians exploit that lack of appetite. And it becomes a political football. But the problem is we have young boys, young women, overseas, fighting wars, lives on the line. They need support, absolute support. And we're playing political games here and undermine them in the process. And so in the end, we spend billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. And if cumulatively over the last decades, trillions of dollars. By the way, trillions of dollars in Afghanistan war alone. And for what? So we have blood, we have treasure to accomplish what exactly? So this was a noble, morally justifiable, it seems to me decidedly a military successful effort in Iran, but we didn't continue. We couldn't stomach it. So we came up with some bullshit ceasefire in the name of pursuing peace. Nonsense.
So bad.
I don't know where else to go. I mean,
Go vote.
I know that's exactly what it
Go
is.
to your
because there's
Kanye
no,
West
We didn't give you a
concert.
ramp? We didn't
Go
give you an
get your
extra ramp?
clothes
Come
on. You can go say yay or what do they call himself now?
Yay.
That's so stupid. But yeah,
Why-
go to your Ye concert.
Seriously, why is the mayor all over this Ye concert?
Well, she's going
The
against
Kanye
her
West.
party, I guess. I mean, from New York, her New York cohorts are going to be pissed off at her for that because they don't give a crap about offending Jews or things.
She doesn't give a crap about anything. Do you get that sense?
I mean, look, she doesn't play well with people. So I mean,
No.
a lot of people have issues with her. So I mean, I don't know if she's going to be a one-termer. It depends if people vote or not. I mean, whether she should win. This is a public venue, so you know, it's different than a private venue. There's an argument about free speech. I mean, I'm a free speech dude, man. The crowd will dictate whether this person just say, look, we don't support any past statements he's made. But although Kanye, I think he's apologized. He went on the apology. He said something, he had mental health issues and apologized for what he said or didn't say. I can give a shit. He's entitled to his opinion.
But if people buy tickets, she can't stop the concert at a private venue, can she?
Well, I mean, there's an argument that it's
Partially
public. Yeah, that it's public. It's not a-
Government.
Yeah, so if the government doesn't want to endorse a certain person, now where does it end though? That's the problem. Do you start looking back and doing an investigation on every performer, and if they've done said anything controversial, and who determines whether it's controversial or not? Then we start canceling their contracts. Look, the thing that I think is interesting: 6 of the city council members opposed the mayor's call to cancel the concert. And these are all Democrats too, because they understand that there's over a $1.2 to $1.5 million economic benefit to this concert. Hotel reservations are up 22%. The restaurants are going to flourish during this concert.
but they
I mean, the
also
weekend.
just don't like her.
Don't like who?
The mayor.
Oh yeah,
Some
I
of
got
the,
that. Yeah,
you know,
that plays into it too. But then you have like Grant Moody, who's the commissioner in our district, and he's a Republican, quote unquote. I mean, he's I guess with her. I just saw a concert. I mean, a press conference that he was standing next to her.
He disavows his statements, but he.
Then why was he at a press conference with her? I saw it on someone sent me a clip from Ken's, and I wish I would have clicked on it, but I didn't. I was too busy.
Disavows whose
Like
statements?
in the comments there,
mayor.
Jay has said he doesn't like what Ye's comments have been.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And he says, but he,
I don't like what a lot of people say, but they have a right to say it.
Who cares? I mean, you have a right to be a dick. I mean, that's what the Constitution says. Free speech is not protecting speech we like. I mean, that's it. I mean, now, if I say, go, I'm doing an armed robbery with somebody, go, shoot that person, there's a witness. That's not free speech. I mean, terroristic threats are not free speech. That's under the penal code.
This is a really interesting conversation, though, because there's a categorical difference between saying weird shit about Israel and black Israelites and all kinds of stuff like that, than saying from the river to the sea. When you are advocating the extermination of a people group, you've crossed the line. Is it okay for me to use the First Amendment to openly advocate for the assassination and the murder of people? Is that okay?
No, of course not.
Okay, so there's got to be a line there, and so there's a different. And I'm not saying this about Kanye. I've never heard him say that, to be honest. There's a difference between what he's saying and the people that won in New York City that we were just talking about 30 minutes ago, because you go on their Facebook post and that is exactly what they're advocating. So
Kanye
now
has a
what?
Song, Hitler. Hi Hitler. He's got a song. He's got merch with swastika.
I don't
Okay,
know
so
any of his
what's-
songs.
Do you use okay?
Yeah. Why wouldn't it be?
You want to put a swastika on your shirt? Go right ahead.
It's okay.
Go right
It's up
ahead.
to you. I mean, it's disgusting, but I mean, it's up to you.
You might win office.
Look, I mean, there's a crime also inciting a riot. I mean, so there's look. That's why I say I'm as close to a free speech absolutist as you're going to find. I mean, you know how the examples I give. I mean, I can't stand special needs jokes because my son's on the spectrum of autism. But I will fight like an animal to defend your right to be a dick and make special needs joke, make fun of autistic kids if you want to. But I'm going to defend your right to do it because I believe in the principle. I don't believe in the principle when it applies to what I like. I believe in a principle is a principle is a principle. Either you believe in the concept of it or you don't. Not just when it applies to your tribe or your special issue. It's a principle, and I believe in free speech. That's it. Period. End of story. And let the court of public opinion weigh in because they'll give you their verdict. They'll give you their verdict. And if the people like you, well, then you fucked up and you lost those people. You lost your jury. Then you shouldn't have done that. So go work on the jury and then go back to litigating your point.
Where's the ranking of artists inciting with their art bad behavior? Because they're saying this about Ye, but then you got rap songs.
F the
Salo, I
police.
confess. I mean that's a revelation to me. I didn't know that.
What?
And
Which part?
I'm gonna retract and rephrase my statement if I can. I didn't know that.
No,
I,
what?
That Kanye had put a song out there called Heil Hitler, and that he was. I mean, I've seen people have a swastika, but I mean, but if there's like if they're making fun of it or if they're using it for satire or something like that. But if he wrote a song about how Hitler, he's saying he likes Hitler and he has admiration for Hitler. I mean, we got a problem here.
But isn't it considered art?
No, you art.
Well, he's an artist.
So what's so artistic about advocating for policies?
What's so artistic about putting a crucifix in a glass of urine? I mean, it's the same thing, and that was in a New York museum for everybody to see.
Well, I think that's offensive. That's offensive. If somebody wants to do that, they can. But you're not advocating for the murder of human beings when you do that. You're offending someone's religion. So what this is doing, if you're out there saying Heil Hitler, you love Hitler, you have admiration for Hitler, then we got to step back and say, okay, what does Adolf Hitler symbolize? Well, what did he do? And Adolf Hitler, what he did was he exterminated millions and millions of people and did it with a smile on his face.
Yeah, but you're not advocating that. You're just saying you respect them for whatever your reasons are. I mean, we're gonna. I think that's a slippery slope, man. I think that's a slippery slope. Now, if you're out there saying like, "Let's do what Hitler did and let's exterminate these people," that's different. You say I have an admiration for Hitler. I mean, he could say, "Well, maybe I admire his tenacity. Maybe I admire certain aspects." Who knows?
Propaganda.
I mean, who knows? Maybe he was definitely good at influencing, swaying the.
Say that they admire his propaganda.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a slippery slope. That's it. I mean, I think it's disgusting. I hate it. But I mean, rap songs are horrible too. Like I mean, hit him, shoot him up, do this, F the police, resist it. I mean, there's.
I think
I don't know, man.
I think the slippery slope is on the other side, man. I mean, certain things are so obvious. They're so obvious. So why do no one would know anything about Hitler's gifts for propaganda if it didn't culminate in the extermination of millions of people from his own country? I mean, it wouldn't matter. The only reason we even talk about Hitler and why he's repulsive is because of what he did to children and women and men that he disagreed with simply because they were of a different ethnicity. I mean, he had the most advanced and most calculated and organized and effective plan for systematically eliminating human beings. That's what he's known for. So when you say, I have a respect for Hitler, no one's going to think it's because he really liked his dog.
No one even knows. I mean, these young people don't even know what Hitler stood for, essentially, these days. I'm just telling you, they're so ridiculous. I mean, but abortion takes out more babies than Hitler ever did. So it's all about perspective and definitions and what we're focused on. I mean, abortion's horrible. How many babies are aborted every year? How many babies are aborted every year? I'm just saying, how many babies are aborted every year?
Well, it's still about 1 million.
1 million. I know, and it's been going along longer than 10 years. I mean, it's horrible. That's why I like that guy, Brandon Gill. I mean, we'll talk about that later on. But I mean, I don't know, brother. I just think that now if you're advocating specificity, it's like we should take out the Jews. That's different. I mean, it's inciting something that's different. I mean, I understand it's a slippery slope. If you just say, I respect Hitler, hi Hitler, that's disgusting. I don't know. I haven't thought it through. I pause because I just think we need to be very careful. That's all. I mean, I'm a free speech dude, man.
What's the correct term? Because respect, Nico, is one thing. But for example, he talks about the fashion that the German army had, that the Hugo Boss companies made their clothing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sure. And
what word could you accept?
Yeah, but that's not Hitler. Again, I don't care about that. Fashion is fashion. I'm talking about saying Heil Hitler. Okay, you're elevating Hitler. That's high esteem for and subjugation to or allegiance to. That's what Heil Hitler means. And if you look at any videos, look, I've studied Germany, the Third Reich for decades. On this issue, there's no daylight on me. I'm crystal clear on this.
I'm with you on it. I got it.
This is of a different category. That's why I like the way you say it. I'm going to start using it. I'm as close to an absolute free speech advocate as there is because I think I like that, and I think this is a caveat for me because this is systematic, government endorsed, subsidized, and executed murder of people groups.
I know, but then what about T-shirts that have Che Guevara and Fidel Castro on it?
If you have a politician who is advocating, who's saying they love Che Guevara, by the way, the people that were just elected in their primaries would people that would say, yay, Che Guevara.
I got it.
No, brother, I'm with you. This raises a whole other discussion and I want to raise this something. We should have a discussion on this. I'd like to pick your brain on this. The idea of having people, does the American political system allow for individuals to come in who are running on destroying America? Literally. Where's the limit? Can I use the Constitution of the United States to come in to say that my objective is to destroy the Constitution of the United States?
That's a great
Literally.
discussion. That's a great discussion.
That's an important. So
because if your audience is well trained up, Proverbs 22:6 way, the audience goes, fuck off. No. I mean, that's what the audience does. It all depends on your audience. If you can gain ground with that type of message,
That's right.
you're done anyway.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen quicker, because if your audience receives that and loves the Heil Hitler and understands the Che Guevara and Fidel Castro's and that mindset and really is truly educated.
So notice what he's saying. Go ahead, keep going, please.
Then you're screwed.
So there should have been a stopgap a long time ago. Yeah, there should have been. But there wasn't. So now you're at the very end, and you actually have a politician who's advocating raising America to the ground.
Yes.
Go and read Claudia Valdez's posts. Go and read Avila Chevalier's posts in New York City. Read them. Look at how they describe America, and look at what they're talking about. Armed resistance. That's literally the kinds of statements they're saying. Okay, she's interviewing with Jacobin magazine. Does anyone know what the Jacobins were? The Jacobins were the most radically violent revolutionary arm in the French Revolution in 1793 and 1794. You know what their policies involved? Guillotining their political opponents. How many? Oh, I don't know, about a year or two, about 17,000 people dead. That's the magazine that she interviewed with. Those are the values that she supports. Is it okay for an American politician to actually become an elected to office whose platform involves eliminating the very Constitution, destroying the very Constitution they believe is colonialist and hateful and evil, while saying that they're going to uphold the Constitution of the United States? Does that make any sense?
No, of course.
This is nuts.
It's redefining terms.
At some point, we got to say, and who's going to say it? Do we even have the political will and the political system to say no? They can't be elected to office. They're not qualified. Like you have to be 35 years old, for instance, to be a president of the United States, and you have to be born in the country.
You take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's what you take an oath to. So then it's going to come down to definitions. We believe the Constitution says this. We believe that's why I say definitions matter. Vocabulary is one thing. It doesn't matter if we use the same vocabulary. It's what definitions are we using. Same thing with family, same thing with gender, same things with love, same things with this, same thing with reproductive rights versus abortion. I mean.
Nico, what about this movie came out, the Vigilante one?
I haven't seen it. I heard about it.
The guy says at the end, people need to start doing that. Become vigilantes against these people that are coming in.
Yeah, we've lost our country if we become vigilantes. If we're there, I'm not saying, look, the Constitution allots for that.
With this piece of art.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that movie itself
The movie itself is a piece of art, is promoting that people become vigilantes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's that I do not encourage that. We should be political vigilantes, meaning that we go back and take back politics and influence people's votes, things of that nature. If you have to become literal vigilantes, your country's done. I mean, that's what we're celebrating that this year, this couple weeks from now. That's what happened. We revolted back against the king and against England, right? And came, I mean, because of what they were doing, and that's why each constitution matters, from the first, from the second to the third. Nobody talks about the third amendment and the Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment, Sixth, Seventh. I mean, it comes with our justice system and our right to bear arms and our right to free speech. And second protects the first one, and then three, them coalescing in your house. And these soldiers used to break into homes and just take over. And then fourth, unreasonable searches and seizures. Then right to counsel. Then right to free speech. Right to cross-examination. Right to a jury. All that matters.
All of it.
All of it matters.
And it's all interconnected.
All of it is interconnected, and they build off each other. And it's, every time we try a case, it seems like that we're reinforcing the beauty of our Constitution and of the amendments of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and we've lost that. And I know this is going to play into the biblical teachings in school about the historical context of Christianity's influence over Western culture. And that's a different argument. We can talk about that because I have some reservations and I have some support. I have both sides of the argument. I haven't processed it all yet. But we've lost all that, to George's point. George has been bitching about academia for years.
So true.
And he's right. And we're seeing the effects of it. We are raising up, whether you like it or not, because if you're quiet, you're handing your kid over to this bullshit. We're raising up activists. And
you use the word they're using. These are revolutionaries.
There you go. Revolutionaries.
Yeah, these are revolutionaries. They want to subdue the system through violence. That's where this goes. It's always gone there.
Yep.
Study communist revolutions, and there is a lot of cultivation in the academic systems of that particular country.
That's right.
That's where it goes. And I just, again, if you know a little bit of history, which you're not taught, you'll appreciate this. This is why it gets really ugly, because if there's no stopgap in the classroom and you're not teaching your kids about what it means to be in America, and to love America, I mean, at what point does it become too late? And this is what worries me. I mean, now you're somebody's about ready to be elected in office and walk into their office, and now you're going to tell them they can't be a politician. That's never going to work. That's never going to work. I mean, so now you have how many people coming in the United States Congress theoretically now? You're going to have a third of them who are going to be open communists? This is insane.
Mike online wants to know how many of them will be taking the oath of office on the Bible.
Oh, no, but that's a big deal now.
Yeah.
They don't understand the purpose of that. I mean, there's whether you like it or not, there was a heavy Judeo-Christian influence over the formation of our constitutional republic. It just was. If you don't like it, you don't have to live here, but don't change history. And what I recommend, and I would love, and I don't know how they're going to use these Bible lessons, and it's not just about the Bible lessons in Texas schools, by the way. I mean, they're going to be talking about Shakespeare and Dante's Inferno and different speeches and different poems and Animal Farm, things we all grew up on. Sure. I mean, we'll talk about that. I'm an open Christian. I understand the history of this country. I know that our founding fathers, that they wanted a heavy Judeo-Christian influence over this country, because that was the whole experiment. I've read the Mayflower Compact. I understand the different constitutions of the first 13 colonies that were overtly Christian, by the way. Go back and read them. Go back and study them a little bit. That's our foundation.
Overtly.
It wasn't even close. We understand the declarations by Congress in 1956 and 53 and 56 that we've talked about many, many times before. And we understand that the calling for fasting and praying by presidents over and over again. And John Jay talking about, the first Supreme Court Justice of the United States recommending that they should pray over juries so they could come back with just verdicts and right verdicts. That innocent people aren't convicted and guilty people aren't set free. I mean, there was a prayerful posture. And then we understand that our Constitution is predicated off these rights that are endowed by our Creator. That is something outside of time, space, and matter. And that's not, quote unquote, the universe. And they're not sending good vibes to you. It is a Creator. It is the God of the Christian Bible. And that's a fact. You don't have to like it. Say, I understand. You have more credibility with me if you just say, I understand that, but I don't like it. Okay, fair enough. And if you are more persuasive than I, then you'll convince the electorate to say piss off to our Judeo-Christian roots and change Western culture. Because there's a difference between Western culture and an Islamic theocracy in different Middle Eastern cultures. There is. Jordan, Syria, like I said, Egypt, all used to be Christian. Iran used to be free. And now look at it now, from women being free, and look at pre-1979, the Shah, versus after it happened, and women are covered up. They're shadow. They're not treated well. There's no women's rights. There's no gay rights. There's no free speech. There's no free thought. There's no free living. There's nothing free over there. Anything. No. But the problem is they offer free shit to put you in chains. That's what happens. That's the move on this formula. They offer you free shit and then they put you in chains. And then, and they walk into the gas chambers, so to speak, again, to use a horrible analogy, but that's what happens.
And then to say, oh, wait, no more free stuff.
No,
I mean,
nothing.
Once they have
control,
zero.
I'm telling you, Karen, this is not, they're not even using a new method.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, study
They're
history.
going by the book.
And if you don't know history, we're doomed to repeat it. And that's what they say about not knowing our history and understanding. I mean, just looking at old pictures. I love nostalgia. I love looking at the early 1900s when you see 10-year-olds and 9-year-olds on the street, hustling, working, getting a job. The look, the countenance on their face, the way they looked at you, they look like little adults. I mean, you're growing up, you're raising farms, you're raising your siblings, you're working, you're earning dollars, you're working at a store, you're cleaning up this. It was nobody's stuck on with that turtle hunchback, iPhone hump in your back. Yeah. And then obesity with these kids because they're eating a bunch of junk in their food and they're not active in their bodies.
It's true. You can see it. It's a different human. It's a different human being.
George, there's Instagrams. I wish I could remember, Salo, but I'll find it again. But you can go to these sites where they're looking at the late 1800s and early 1900s. People walk differently.
I've been watching some of these. Salo, this is one of the beauties of AI. AI has been superimposed.
Coloring.
Some of these old. And it's the AI is able to do that kind of research behind the scenes to actually add in color and bring it to life. But they're not manufacturing these events. They're just taking old footage and they're literally
Colorizing them.
truly and improving the resolution. It's absolutely phenomenal. It puts you there. And as Nico was saying, you can see faces more clearly. You can see expressions more clearly, and there's the general demeanor. And it's a little spooky because it makes it so real. And I think you internalize that and you realize, oh my goodness, how far back we've come. It's a different human being. I mean, there's just there seems to be like this kind of appreciation for the shortness of life. And
I want my world back. There's a video that what Nico was talking about. I want my world back.
Yeah, brother. I'm seeing a lot of them. I mean, like I have YouTube TV, and there's a lot of them on there, and I've been a bit of a history buff, so I just so enjoy it. And Nico, I mean, you're right, man. You're right.
To find it,
and we're losing so much in the name of progress and expediency. And we really need to stop and take inventory. And
yeah, so
man, we just can't afford it.
My concern about the biblical lessons. I mean, how are they going to be taught? What's going to be happening? I don't want the government teaching Christianity to my kids. I want me and their pastor to do that, and my wife. But also, I believe strongly in a Christian influence, and our government used to believe that. I mean, we just did. I mean, look, you'd have to be very dishonest or selective or blind to not see that the strong Christian influence, not the demand that you worship Christ as your Savior, but the strong, and just acknowledge, I appreciate, I mean, there's a lot of people that are cultural Christians. Jordan Peterson used to call himself that. Richard Dawkins, I think, called himself that. Mm-hmm. He believed he wants Christian ideology to influence the culture, but don't force me on your Messiah or whatever, and I don't believe in that bullshit. Fair enough. But he knows the benefits of being a cultural Christian. That's what I support. Understanding the history and teaching Christian influence in Western culture. I would support that. Look, if you do your homework, Google this. George gave me one. It's a small one. It's called the New England Primer. And it was in every school. They taught from it until the early 1900s. Look at it. I wish I brought it out. It's inside of my drawer. But when they're teaching the alphabet, A, Adam and Eve, and then B, whatever, C, and it was all a biblical reference, and they taught biblical stories. Now, there's nothing that's evangelizing you to accept Christ as your Savior, but they use these biblical ideas to teach the culture of the time, and that was it.
But
love your neighbor. What does that come in? That's not from Islam, by the way. That's not from Hinduism or Buddhism. Huh? It's from Christianity. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's better to serve than to be served. These are ideas.
I think that there's a statute behind this that develops the envelope around which this presentation can happen. It can't go beyond it.
No.
This isn't about indoctrination. It's not about catechizing students. You're not forcing them to believe anything. You can display the 10 Commandments, recognize them for the historical value in the country, and when you read them or when you read biblical literature, you're reading it as legitimate ancient literature.
That's right.
It has philosophical, it has religious, it has theological implications. You can talk about those, but you're not forcing anyone to believe them. That is a big distinction.
But the same people that are, and again, that's why I'm saying I got to process this more because it has to be implemented. To George's point, it has to be implemented right if it's going to be used. But these are the same people resisting this, are the same people that are okay with forcing Pride Month on all the kids.
Sure,
they don't mind that. They don't mind a pride flag. They don't mind. There's no historical value to that. They don't mind celebrating Pride Month and celebrating and teaching this. There's some schools up north that are actually teaching Islam. They're teaching, the Ramadan. They're teaching the significance of that. I mean, and then you can't even pray with your students voluntarily on a football field. They have to go to the Supreme Court. The hypocrisy is off the charts. And so we have to pause. We have to look at our history to defend or to deny this, to either argue against or for this. You have to understand the history.
But I want to back up a second to the statute again, because the wording matters, Nico. Without any kind of coercion, there's no violation. So if a teacher obviously one teacher may be more devout than another teacher.
Sure.
Another teacher might be devout at all. And you're reading it through literature. What can that teacher espouse on their personal experiences with the philosophical implications of the text? Why not? My teacher did. When I was in third grade, I had a teacher who did that. There was no forcing.
But back then we had a social
anyone.
contract. We had a social contract that we all agreed on these principles.
You realize I'm less than 250 years old, right? So this.
I understand that, brother, but you're close. but all I'm saying is we agreed that was our rules of engagement. We accepted it. There wasn't a resistance on it. So and Democrats and Republicans alike, I'm telling you, if you go back and look at all the Democrat presidents that called for national days of fasting and prayer, you'd be shocked, right, George? I mean, you're right.
No, fair enough. I was trying to take a black and white view of this, just in the sense of the court saying the court didn't seem to have a problem because it revisited this notion of the Establishment Clause and
Right.
how all of a sudden, for a long time, you couldn't even mention Christian.
No.
Where free speech was like out the window. All that matters is establishment. And I think the court spent some time defining establishment as the founder saw it. Establishment doesn't mean what we think it means today. Establishment is really the forceful compliance with the law or else. That's not how people take establishment today. It's just the idea that you can have a religious text in a classroom. Yeah, it's Christian, and you can read the text and at the same time appreciate the value that it had in forging the direction of the country. That has historical value. There are philosophical implications. You can believe in it theologically true. I think it would be foolish not to mention that. As a teacher, I think it would be academic malpractice not to recognize the obvious that the overwhelming majority of people in the country consider themselves to be Christian. So this book, by definition, has had significant impact. So to talk in those terms, are you proselytizing? By what grounds? So there was a time when just even mentioning Christian was proselytizing in a public school.
We got to have this uncomfortable conversation for some people that if you look at the history and the inception of this experiment, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam were not part of the equation. Just wasn't.
Although the founders knew about them.
Of course, and that's why
them.
Thomas Jefferson had a Quran. But it wasn't because he was interested in Islam. It's because he wanted to understand his opponents because he was an ambassador.
They called them Mohammedans at the time.
Yeah.
Or Muslemanos or whatever.
But it wasn't because Thomas was fascinated with Islam. He wouldn't understand who he was negotiating with.
Yeah.
And then the Jefferson Bible, he was trying to reach a native tribe around him. So he took out references to Christ because these principles, these ideas, this social contract he was trying to make with these tribes were better served. Like Richard Dawkins, I think it's Richard Dawkins, like these people that call themselves cultural Christians.
Richard Dawkins, yes, sir.
It was Richard Dawkins, right? So we just have to understand history.
And it means a lot because he's a devout atheist.
Yeah, Richard Dawkins is a devout. Yeah,
and
has he passed away yet, or are you still with us?
No, he's still with us. Former professor emeritus of biology.
We still got a chance
at
with
Oxford
him. Help him out.
University. Yeah, right. He's the one that wrote The God Delusion. For a guy that wrote The God Delusion to be so anti-Christian, to say I'm a
cultural Christian, that says something.
I think that tells you something about the assessment that he's done.
But everything in
relative to Islam.
look, the Ten Commandments, to the point of why it should be in the school, has been codified in our penal code. Thou shalt not murder. That's kind of whether you're an atheist or not, that's kind of a good, I mean, a murder is an unjustifiable homicide, a non-natural killing that is not justified by self-defense, defense of third person, or defense of property in some form or fashion in your house, meaning burglary of habitation, things of that nature. You can't just use violence to defend your property all the time, but there's certain ways you can do that. So thou shalt not murder. Don't steal. Thou shalt not steal. Don't steal. Don't take my shit. So if I'm at some coffee shop and I walk away for a second, my phone and the laptop are there, and I'm just at the counter and someone just takes it, you want the cops to arrest them. Why not? Why don't you go to handle it yourself? If that person's stronger than you, survival of the fittest, then go get your laptop back. Yeah, but he's stronger than me, and I'm not really a fighter. Then tough shit, become a fighter. Right. But don't steal my shit. You didn't earn it. You're not entitled to it. That's what socialism and communism is, by the way. You're not entitled to it. You didn't earn it. I did. I worked hard. I made sacrifices. That's my phone and my laptop. Honor your father and mother. Bearing false witness. We have slander. We have libel charges. You have some type of fraud and scheme where if I tell you something and bear a false, and I lie about someone else to take your stuff or to defraud you or embezzle money. I mean, there's issues like that. If we study and do a study of the Ten Commandments, we have codified many of them, minus the first three. I got it. But we acknowledge a creator in our Constitution, by the way. But all I'm saying is, there's historical context to our culture.
I think that's a very important distinction. You have to have the first three. You can't just post the 6 commandments. You got to post all of them because the last 6 are based on the notion that there's a creator who is a higher authority. This is very important in American culture. So this is why we're called a high trust culture versus, let's say, Haiti, which, yes, Trump was right when he called it a shithole country. He's absolutely right. Look, you make $2,600 a year in Haiti. Violence is off the charts. It's standard operating procedure.
Deception is standard.
Theft is a virtue. Are you kidding me?
Deceiving is a virtue.
Truly. So what does that say? Why are we a high trust culture? Yes, we still are. Why are we a high trust culture? Because this culture, this Judeo-Christian framework teaches restraint.
Yeah.
No, you can't steal shit from your neighbor because you're actually stealing his life. Why are you stealing his life? Because he had to work somewhere to earn that. So when you steal his stuff, you're stealing his life. Oh, crap, I can't do that. That's almost analogous to murder. That's why I say at some level, every one of the 10 Commandments is rooted in theft.
Yeah.
And so if you think about that, you don't have that in Haiti. It's low trust because you think you should be able to do that.
Honor your father and mother.
But it's all rooted from the character of a God that says human beings have value. Governments are instituted among men, but we are endowed with rights from our Creator. That's a higher position.
Think about that, Karen. So we're in these rights that we have, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, are endowed to us by something greater than the government. So if the government didn't give it to you, Karen, guess what the government can't do? Take it away from you. The government is instituted by us, because we consented to it, to protect these rights endowed by a creator. That's the whole framework of this country is that. So you got to study it. And the creator isn't Allah of Islam. The creator isn't Hare Krishna or isn't Buddha. That's not the creator. That's just, you don't have to like it, but don't be dishonest and say that's not the truth.
Let's take
that
the
is
language.
the truth.
Take the language from the Declaration of Independence.
Say it.
That governments are that to preserve these rights.
To preserve them.
We having been endowed by rights from the Creator, that to preserve these rights, governments are instituted among men. Think about that. Deriving what? Their just powers from the consent of the governed. I mean, this is how the country's built architecturally. That's how we're built. We have a foundation, and then we have the edifice on top of that. And that foundation is the principles in the 10 Commandments. The notion that we can't post them in a classroom is just nuts.
And Karen, and this was so prevalent in this country all the way up until 1954, where we said, look, we're going to, in our value, our exchange, what we used to exchange and buy and sell and how we value things, we put in God we trust. Not in Allah we trust, not in Muhammad we trust, not in Hare Krishna we trust, or Buddha. In God, Yahweh we trust. That's the God of the Bible. It's not a small g God and you fill in the blank, the universe. Bullshit. That's not historically, that's honest. But that didn't happen just overnight. They didn't wake up one morning and say, like, oh shit, let's put in God we trust on the coins and our dollar bills. No, that wasn't the way it is. It's since the beginning. Moses, I mean, go to the Capitol in D.C. and see the statues and see what's written and what's engraved.
I've been there many times, Nico. The Capitol Rotunda, it's a true. I mean, for me,
how do you get away with that?
It's a church experience, man.
Yes.
I mean, truly.
Now you don't have to like it, and the beauty thing about this, the beauty of this country is it's not going to be forced on it, but you will be influenced by it. Right. And like Richard Dawkins, you want to be influenced by it because it's going to make for a better, peaceful neighbor. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's a good idea. Didn't say it came from Yahweh, but better to serve than to be served. That's a biblical principle. Right. Nowhere else.
Right.
Right. So that's all I'm saying. So I think what they're trying to accomplish with this biblical teaching curriculum is the historical understanding of the Western culture, and I support that. But I think it should be really taught, truly taught. Study case precedent before 1944, overtly Christian in Supreme Court precedent. Study that. Only until 1963 in Engel versus Vital, where the Supreme Court at the time said no more biblical references in schools at all. Period. And then other people have done it, not me. Smart bean counters like George and other folks did the numbers. And if you look at the societal statistics, I mean, it's just a steady decline since 1963 to 2026. From murders to this, to that, to divorce, to all kinds of shit that happens, and dropouts and all. I mean, just look at it. And now, is it direct? Is it correlation, causation? We can have that argument, but there's something that happened that affects academia, that affects society. And, you've been talking about academia's influence on our kids for years, George. So, I mean, that's it. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to accept Christ as your Savior. I'd love to have a crack at you to talk about the objective evidence that supports that. But aside from that, I mean, so I support it in that notion, but I'm cautious if it goes down the road of government teaching Christianity to people. I don't think.
And by that notion, you could technically be concerned about anything and everything, because any good thing can be abused. Any good thing can be used in ways that it wasn't intended to be used. So yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine some ways in which this would be abused.
You got to be careful.
But Nico's absolutely right. The thrust behind it is totally legit.
I know, but my fear is that they're going to slap a Noah's Ark coloring book on some kid's desk and say, "This is it. This is it. We have our Bible stories."
Well, I believe in Noah's Ark. I just don't believe it was a global flood. I believe it was a universal flood. I believe in the creation story.
And we don't believe it happened 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't believe that the earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old. I don't believe that Genesis supports that. I don't believe that God created in 6 24-hour periods when you understand the word yom. So I mean, but I believe in creationism. I believe in intelligent design. I don't think that the Bible lends to believe that. I know that some Christians probably just freaked out right now and they lost their eyelashes. But that's fine. But I'm telling you, this is where the battle. We have to understand what Scripture is, and we're studying that right now. George and I, and a group of us, and some pastors. George is doing a wonderful presentation on this kind of on this Old Testament survey of the Old Testament, and we've dug into and other doctors like Stephen Meyer and Hugh Ross. I mean, there's so many scholars out there, like in the George category of people that truly dissect Genesis. But kids aren't taught that, by the way. So I don't think that should be taught in school. By the way, I'm just saying for us as Christians, we're losing the battle on the logic side of it and understanding proper defense of Scripture. But look, John Bolton is let's just finish off with that and wrap it up. So Michael Bolton, your singer, and John Bolton, his uncle, are going to prison. No, I'm just joking. So he was indicted under a 1917 Espionage Act, which is ironically, this is the same act that Jack Smith charged Trump with. And which they said Biden violated, but was not charged because he's too old and incompetent. So they defended him that way.
And then someone that's, as you say, Nico says, is someone that looks a lot like John Bolton and sounded like John Bolton was criticized Trump for doing.
Did Bolton do that?
It was John Bolton.
No shit. It was John Bolton. I was thinking of Michael Bolton when he had that.
Michael sang about it. But
Hey, he had a good voice, man. Michael, is he still alive?
I don't know.
That's it.
Hey man, but that's like Neil Diamond, brother. Michael Bolton and Neil Diamond for me. So he's charged with improperly possessing and transmitting classified information. So he apparently, allegedly, I'm sure that the fact scenario and the relevant conduct in the charging instrument have him apparently emailing classified information to various parties, right? I'm not saying they're foreign parties. I don't believe that's the case. So, and here's the thing. This is not a political prosecution, and people need to understand this. Just to be fair, this started under the Biden DOJ. So this wasn't a Trump thing. This was a Trump DOJ that took over the Biden DOJ's investigation. And from my understanding, he's pleading to possession, not transmission, because then that exposes him now, limits his exposure to 5 years under the sentencing guidelines. Federal court has very different ranges of punishment. There's sentencing guidelines from the level of your offense to your criminal history, which he doesn't have official criminal history. People claim that he's got unofficial criminal history. Who knows? But he's limited to 5 years. And then ultimately it's going to be up to the judge using those guidelines and whether he can defer from them or not, and they'll make arguments. But he's probation eligible. I think it's appropriate for him to get probation. He's 77 years old. They didn't give a shit about Trump, but still,
Right.
Him being on probation, a convicted felon, it's at the end of his career, that's appropriate. We don't need to send this man to prison, in my opinion.
And so what was the potential max? Up to 60 months?
No, now it is. But under transmission, it's much, much more. He would have died in prison.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why the plea bargain,
Yeah, right.
they waived. They're going on the possession, not the transmission.
I don't, there was a fine, right? You said?
Yeah, but yeah.
But it's steep, wasn't it? It's like 2.25 million or something like that?
I don't know. I didn't read that.
2.25 million?
Yeah.
So what do you think is ultimately going to happen?
I think I would argue, probation. I would think, but it's going to be up to the judge. The judge has full, but he's exposed to 5 years though, and he'll get out in 87% of the time. Typically, if you do supervised release, it's very different in the federal system. Under state law, if it's not a 3G offense, you have to do mandatorily a quarter of your time, and then you're eligible for parole. Under the federal system, it's different. So. But here's what I think.
What was he thinking?
You're above the law, Dad. But I just hope people don't relish in this. Again, Proverbs 24 talks about this. Do not gloat when your enemy falls down, because the Lord will see that. He'll be displeased, and then he'll stop doing what he's doing, and he'll be displeased with you, first of all, and you won't be blessed. But we shouldn't gloat. Just say, look, justice, I want justice, period. I don't want revenge. I just want justice for all people. I want Fauci to have justice on. I want justice for all the people involved with Epstein. I want justice against Iran. I want justice for illegal, all the shit that's going on with our country. I want people to be exposed with the COVID vaccine. I just want justice in general. And because I truly believe in that blindfold. I do. I mean, if it's Republicans that are guilty, piss on them. If it's Christians that are guilty, piss on them. That has nothing to do with Christianity. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that don't judge an ideology by its abuses, I tell people. But I just want justice. And we can define what that means. I know different people have different definitions of that, Karen. But I don't relish in this. I wasn't an anti-John Bolton guy. I don't know enough about him. I just thought he was a hypocrite and opportunist. He served our country. He didn't do it in great ways. He did it in some good ways, I guess. I don't know.
I was just reading the charge documents that he pleaded guilty to. More than 1,000 pages of information about his day-to-day activities as National Security Advisor, including info related to national defense, with two individuals who neither had the security clearances nor the need to know that information. He did it in the form of diaries with his daughter and his wife. More than 1,000 pages, man.
Yeah, but do you think he's the only one that's done that? Come on.
No, brother. I'm just, saying it's just the fact that he's the Trump derangement aspect that I think is what magnifies this. The fact that he's pontificating on Trump. The hypocrisy factor I think is what did him in here too. Frankly, that never helps anybody.
Yeah.
How unfortunate.
Karen, anything you want to talk about?
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
You gotta
Somebody
go.
said that, no. Somebody said that the good news in all of this is they found that giraffe that was roaming the Texas Hill Country finally.
How do you lose a giraffe again?
I didn't even know the giraffe was missing. There you go.
Well, it's found now. Don't worry about it anymore.
You can take Michael Bolton to Kanye. I'm sure you bought an extra ticket. Thanks, guys, for joining us this weekend. Please share this with someone you think may benefit from it. We want to grow and want to encourage conversation, meaningful, passionate, but hopefully respectful conversation. We got to share ideas in the court of public opinion, in the arena of ideas. University, ironically, means unity and diversity, and so we need that in our society. And we need to have to learn to dialogue respectfully, passionately, but respectfully, but ultimately learn that when we walk away from that competition of ideas, we have to live together. And so what foundation do we have? I hope that we start thinking about the celebration of the birth of this country, of this experiment coming up, and think about what we truly agree on. I guarantee you, if we have another 9/11, we're not going to care for Republican or Democrats. We're just not. I hope it doesn't get to that. I always talk about, September 10th versus September 9th, 9/11, 9/10. We were all together as Americans. I don't want another tragedy to happen that way. I think we're looming in that arena when we've lost control of our country and our borders and our ideas and our culture and what we agree on and what's American and assimilation. All that matters. So think about that. But bless your family. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you. Bye-bye.